Hello Kaizen and welcome back to our stream. Today we have a tier 3 console game starting off week 1 of the lowest bracket. On the left we have Riot and on the right we have Odyssey Artemis. We have Walker on the camera and Mia Bob are your casters. Hello Bob, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited for this game. You know, it's going to be a bit of an intense one. Both teams trying to fight to stay out of that elimination here. Both teams, you know,
Yeah,
they
it's
lost
all
their
or
last
nothing
week.
right now.
But I guess we'll have to see how this goes. Riot probably the favourite here to win, but Riot were the favourite last week when they played Impact, and we all saw how that went, a 3-1 loss.
Yeah, go Impact, am I right? I do believe, Bob, we do have some bans here from both teams.
Yeah, so from the side of Artemis, we got the Orisa ban and the Tracer ban. Now, they probably saw that Marlon the other week, big Orisa player, got that MVP for it, so they just wanted to get rid of that. Tracer as well, Bonker, one of the best Tracer players we can see in these tier 3 console games. But from the side of Riot, they also came out with Cass and Brig. Maybe they're looking to run a bit of a dive later on, and they just want to make sure they don't really have a whole lot of counters for them. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Redacted is pushing in onto that Diva, however falling very, very low here. A huge cleanse from the Kiri. However, Redacted is forced to pull back here a little bit here from that choke lane. Marlon is pushing in onto Toxic with the Lucio as well. However, not able to get a pick. However, Bashams does fall here to Snappish. Redacted does, however, get Marlon out of mech and does pick off Marlon as well. Ghost Town getting the pick onto Bonker, with Toxic also getting a pick onto Dango here, and it's looking like Artemis is going to get the first point here.
Yeah, well, that seemed really even early on, but did end up going the way of Artemis in the end. You know, Artemis on this bit more of a brawly comp compared to Riot on a bit of a dive here, as they tend to be playing these past couple of games we've seen.
Yeah, they do seem to be quite comfortable on this dive, don't they? With the Venture Diva here. However, yeah, Marlon does get a pick here onto Beacham. So very early pick. He probably should engage in here on it. However, Toxic gets a pick onto Bonker, with Speedy then getting a pick back onto Toxic here. However, we do have the point switch here for Riot, leaving Redacted all by himself here. They're probably a bit of a huge stagger for them, if you do say so.
Yeah, well, Artemis didn't really have didn't have any time to do anything there. Marlon finding that pick really early, and Speedy just came in and cleaned everything up there nice and easily.
Yeah, it seems that's how Riot like to play. Marlon will jump in and the rest will clean up.
Yeah, well, they've taken this fight nice and early here, though.
Yeah, however, it is 2 for 2 right now. However, Redacted is forced very back here. However, Marlon falls quite low here, but does get a pick onto Meow, forcing Artemis to come back. But they almost just got the point switch there.
Marlon's really low as well in this back, trying to hide.
With Toxic then getting a pick onto Speedy here. They might be able to capitalize on that, considering their team's quite split up right now. However, we do see a Kyrio coming here from both teams, with Lucio and Ramel as well. Toxic getting a pick onto Dango here. And then Beaton get a pick onto Bonker. And then Marlon gets took out of mech and picked off by Redacted. Again, that's a huge fight for Artemis. It's exactly what they need.
You know, they did win the fight in the end, but it did cost them 4 ults there, meaning, you know, Riot's really going to come in here with the advantage, as they've only got that EMP left, but Riot has 4 ults ready to go, basically, which I can't really see them losing, even though they do have that EMP, which is a big fight-winning ult. Riot just has the ult advantage completely on their side.
Which we are seeing come out right now. With the Bonker using Venture ult here. However, I don't think they're going to find anyone just right now. However, they does actually get a pick onto Meow, but Beecham does get a pick onto Dango, evening the playing field just a little bit. With a huge EMP coming out, with unfortunately Marlon getting a pick onto Ghost Town. With Snap is falling quite low, with, as you said earlier, Bob, the ult advantage is just up to the side of Riot right now. However, they did get quite a good percentage, don't you think?
Yeah, well, you know, they did the best of what they could, only having one ult there. Ended up using it, unfortunately, to kind of try to stall that point out a little bit longer. But, you know, they don't have any ults now left over to try win this fight. But Riot has that beat that they can use to potentially engage or just stabilize. Probably going to win them this fight, winning them the game overall, potentially, but we'll see how this goes.
You never know, sometimes it can go either way. Dango is falling very low, however, does get the beat off just in time before Ajaxin. Very, very lucky on their behalf. Marlon get a pick onto Meow here. And then Bonka also get a pick onto Toxic. The Diva is looking for that Lucio. Is he going to get them? Marlon does get the Lucio here. Unfortunately, it is looking like Riot does get the first point here.
Yeah, well, they just... Well, it seemed all these fights, it just seemed Marlon was going in there nice and early, usually finding a pick or getting someone really low, and that strong Genji Venture backline just cleaned up every single pick afterwards, and they just steamrolled the fight. But it was quite even there. You know, both teams, I think Artemis got to about 80%, so one more fight could have gone the complete other way.
Exactly. I think all that Artemis needs to do is maybe think about how many ults they want to invest before investing all of them. As we've seen there, they could have got a pick onto that Lucio, however they had that beat. And that's just because Riot knows when to use ults and when not to. Artemis just needs to try and do that a bit more.
Yeah, Artemis, I feel like, although they won that one fight from it, they just couldn't really find any momentum going after that because they used 4 ults and they didn't really build any more to finish the game off. So Riot just has a huge advantage there.
Yeah, we are seeing Marlon push in here and getting the put quite low here. But Beecham does get a pick onto Bonka. However, Marlon does pick off the rest here, so it is looking like quite an early fight win for Riot there.
Yeah, well, obviously, Mecha Base tends to be a bit more of a brawly map, so they've swapped off that Diva onto the Mauga. And Redacted swapped over to the Mauga now as well. He might have been on it before. I could be lying a little bit.
No, he just swapped then, as you said.
Yeah, well, Marlon, he used to be a little bit of a Mauga one trick, kind of moved away from it, but he's come back, fallen low early, down.
Yeah, and he does fall to Redacted here, getting that quick Mauga diff, right? However, Snappish does get a pick onto Beecham, but Meow gets a pick onto Bonka. It does seem like it's kind of just everyone else here, and the tank's just coming back now, just ready to help his team.
Yeah, well, they're taking a fight in a bit of a weird spot here, is what it seems.
Yeah, well,
because they've lost the fight, but they're still kind of fighting, and it's flipped around a little bit at their own side.
Yeah, it's huge for Artemis though, as they've got the point advantage here through this whole thing. But we are seeing a Genji ult here coming out quite early, falling quite low, but does get Meow in the meantime. Redacted does jump in quite low, but we are seeing a beat come here from Ghost Town. Unfortunately, not able to catch Redacted just before dying. Quite an unfortunate beat in my opinion. If it would have caught Redacted just in time, that would have been great. But unfortunately, that wasn't how it went.
Yeah, well, Riot coming in here. They've got the Cage, they've got the Kitsune. Cage comes out early, Blizzard.
However, we are seeing this Mayo encounter. It does freeze quite a few people here. And they do get the picks here. We are seeing the Venture ult come out though, which does get a pick onto Beecham and makes Anna fall very low. However, Toxic coming in with the huge Death Blossom getting Speedy and Bonka.
Yeah, well, you know, Riot came in there early, came in strong with that Cage, but the freeze just really won on that fight early there. Although, you know, Bonga did have to use that Venture ult. Well, he didn't have to use it, he decided to use that Venture ult, but it did force out the Blossom in the end, which could lead to Riot maybe winning his next fight.
But we are seeing the Kirio come out with a counter with the BAP, getting 2 here. But we have got Dango using the Lucio ult here, with Bonka getting a pick onto Meow, but Redacted does get a pick onto Dango. Make it very hard for Riot here to do anything. Both using, well actually no, not both of them. Riot using 2 ults, however only Artemis using 1. But on the way up, Bonka did manage to get a few picks there, so they might be able to cap here. We do see Redacted use this Cage here just to try and get some more picks. But unfortunately does fall here, which probably means that Riot are probably just going to push right to the point now just to get that point switch back.
Yeah, this has just gone really, really 50-50 so far on this point. But the big difference I see between their comps right now is that Riot have kind of gone a little bit more for a try kill the backline first, whereas Artemis have kind of gone a bit more burn the Mauga, which
Yeah.
it does seem like it's working really well for them because they've managed to find Marlon quite early in a couple of these fights, which just that tank pick's really huge, especially in this 5v5 format.
You've got a huge anti here, making Marlon very, very low. Is he going to be able to fall here? But we are seeing the cage come out with the combination of Bonker's ult here. Falling very low. Does pick off 3 here, and it's looking that this might just be the map for Riot.
Yeah, well, you know, they used all the ults they had left. Artemis didn't really have anything in the bank to try counter it. Riot just they just went in there early, cleaned up, didn't even let them get anywhere near the point really there. Nicely done by Riot, if I must say.
Yeah, I think Riot are very good at engaging early and like being the first ones to make the move.
Yeah, they are. They're one of the more aggressive teams in the league, especially playing this Venture Mauga. That's just really how you want to play.
I can't say that Artemis are giving such a good fight though. Both, although it was like a 2-0 points to Riot, I mean, each game was very close.
Yeah, no team really seemed to have a huge just streak of fight wins. It did seem to be very back and forth. One fight, maybe 2 fights in a row, but it just kept flipping the point.
But as we know, we do unfortunately have some ads to run between this map. So please stay tuned as it is 1-0 currently to Riot. Hello, Kaizen, and welcome back. It is currently 1-0 to Riot right now. We're heading into King's Row. It was a really close game last time. However, as I said, Riot did take the win in that first map. Bob, what did you think about that first map?
You know, I think it was definitely overall, obviously, I know they won, but I think overall it was kind of a bit more in Riot's favours. Towards the start, it was a bit more 50-50, but they did kind of pull it more towards their way at the end of both of those sub-maps. But we'll see if this goes any different here, see if Artemis can take away a map from Riot. But
Yeah, I completely agree. I think as well, we do have some bans from both teams.
yeah, so from Artemis, they've decided to kind of target what I'm assuming they believe the problem was. Are they taking away that Venture and the Genji? Both their DPS just target banned a little bit there for this map. I know Venture does tend to get played a decent amount on King's Row as well. Genji, not quite so much, but still, they thought it was a problem. They just wanted to get rid of it. And from Riot, they've decided to get rid of Ram and Sim. Ram, a little bit busted right now with his block bug, with only taking something like I believe it's 1 damage from a Sombra if he's blocking and has armor. So they just wanted to get rid of that. And the Sim just strong on most maps like this.
Yeah, especially with the turrets, it's like an extra person, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we are seeing both teams on quite different comps here. They both got the Orisa, however, from the side of Riot, they do have a bit more of like a Tracer, Cass. But we do see Reacted get a very early pick here onto Bonker, forcing the team to have to pull back here. It is a 4 versus 5 right now. We do see Artemis taking the high ground, rotating around, just trying to find it where you can jump on them. However, as a counter, Riot is also rotating a bit more back, a bit more into Artemis' spawn here. Both just trying to get some poke damage, trying to get some more picks going. However, we have seen Marlon get walled off here. He might fall here. However, that is a huge lamp from the bat, keeping Marlon just alive just a little bit. With Redacted also falling quite low. However, the supports are healing him and keeping him up. Again, Marlon falling low. Beacham's also falling low, and Mango does get a pick onto Bashum. Goes down, then get a pick onto Marlon. However, Snappish and Mango are just going to clear up here with getting Toxic and Meow. Redacted is still fighting, so it could go to the side of Artemis here, but against just a BAP and a Tracer, there's not much that Redacted can do there. However, they did get a tick here, which is quite good for them.
Yeah, well, although Riot managed to lose a player there really early, they did play that really well, just staying behind that statue in that hotel, playing the cover, only allowing Artemis to get that 1 tick. You know, they played that, you know, by the book, just stay alive, let Bonker come back so they can take that 5v5 once again.
Yeah, we just like they might get another tick here unless we do get a touch, but it's not looking like we're going to get a touch here, so we are getting another tick here. However, Riot does come back in and clean up here. Beacham has fell to Mango, but I mean they keep getting a tick every time they push in here, so they might be able to cap this point if they just carry on doing what they're doing.
Yeah, Riot's just kind of losing these fights quite early, it seems, but they do manage to pull it back. It seems like that's kind of been the theme for a couple of these Riot games recently, losing the fight, but they've managed to clutch up and keep it alive in these last couple seconds of the point.
Yeah.
Lamp tossed out early.
And we are seeing a bit of an ult cluster here from both teams. Redacted falling very low, but does get a pick onto Marlon. Mango getting a huge pick here onto both supports from Artemis. However, Artemis does get the point here. Unfortunately, they didn't touch there.
Yeah, again, the same thing happened 3 times in a row there, but unfortunately Riot didn't have another chance to kind of take that fight back, although Mango did manage to find those 2 picks there at the end. No one was really alive to capitalize and go contest that point, as they lost Marlon early. They didn't really have that big tank pressure to sit on point and just kind of eat the damage a little bit.
Yeah, I think Artemis' strategy of getting rid of the tank quite early does work quite well for them. I'm really enjoying Redacted on this Orisa as well. I think they're giving Marlon quite a good challenge on this Orisa.
Yeah, well, they've got a bit more of a greedy comp here, Artemis, with that Zen backline. They haven't quite got that engagement from the Lucio. Just going to burst down that tank or one of the DPS early and win the fight off that, which seems like it's worked so far.
Yeah, but we have just seen an early Mayo come out here with a combination of speed. It does manage to freeze Marlon. However, Bonker gets 2 picks here onto Ghost Town and Meow, and the rest have just been cleaned up. This is another thing I noticed about Riot. They're very fast at winning a fight back. Like every time, like, you know, someone gets some good momentum, they're really quick at just keeping composure and then just winning the fight straight after.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, as you saw, that Marlon got frozen there from that blizzard early, but it just seemed like he was immortal, just didn't take any damage at all. It was looking like just kind of maybe, it looked like the blizzard was maybe healing him a little bit.
Yeah, well, obviously we did see Dango pull out that huge beat as well just before getting frozen. So maybe that might have something to do with it as well. However, Redacted is falling very low. Lamp is forced from this map here. Forced quite early, but Lamp is also forced on both teams. Redacted does whip out the Arisal here, getting Mango here. And then Marlon also pulls out the Arisal, getting Bastions here. However, it is looking like Riot has won this fight here. Toxic did manage to get a pick onto Snappish, but unfortunately falls to Bonker.
Yeah, well, as you said, Riot does seem to be quite cool, calm, and composed, even if they've lost one at the beginning, because Artemis are doing a really, really good job here at taking that first pick, but they're just not quite being able to capitalize and secure that fight win.
Yeah, I think this is why they might be swapping to the D.Va comp, just to maybe speed it up just a little bit, as the comp they were playing with a bit more on the bunker side, you know, sustain, but then also put a lot of damage out into them. However, with a D.Va, you can probably just jump on them a lot more. Actually, Team Redacted does get a pick onto Dango here. However, Mango does get a pick onto Meow, and Toxic with Torb get a pick onto Marlon here. It's looking very good for the side of Artemis, with them getting a pick onto Mango as well, but unfortunately do lose their break here, with Redacted falling out of mech here from Snappish. But it does look like they are going to get some more cart progress with the BAP and the Tracer being forced into that little room there. They might get caught out by the rest of the team coming back from spawn, but the rest, Marlon and Vicky, are back as well. Unfortunately, that's going to cause Artemis just to pull back here.
Yeah, well, Artemis, they did manage to get a little bit more cart progress, it seemed, there than they had from the previous couple fights. But again, they just, even though they have swapped to this D.Va comp to get a little bit more pressure as soon as they get that first pick, which it does seem again like they are consistently doing, they haven't really got anything else to follow up with it with this Torbjorn on attack as well. It's just, there's not really any way to go and pressure Riot after that first pick. They do seem to just they have time to plan out and just sort the fight back out. But beat coming out early here from Riot.
Yeah, with Mango also getting a pick onto Toxic, using the high noon very efficiently. With that falling quite low here, with Meow getting a pick onto Snappish. Marlon does seem to pull out the Arisal, unfortunately finding no one, but making people very low for the rest of the team to clear up. However, Marlon does fall, but with Redacted by himself, we do see the D.Va come out. But unfortunately, Mango does get the pick on Redacted just before they can remech. That's a great fight from Riot and Artemis. I mean, both teams were just giving it their all, I think.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily think there's been too many times where one team has just kind of completely controlled the fight the entire way through. It's all been very back and forth. Both teams having chances to win, but Riot overall did seem to play the better game there, as they managed to hold that corner there on second point for God knows how long, 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, but I mean, Artemis pushing it there with, I think as well, sorry, this game, they've been using the ropes a lot more efficiently, I think. As I said in the last game, it seemed a bit more like an ult cluster, which kind of left him dry for the other fights. But I think this one, they've kind of used ults when he needed them, which I think is which has helped them quite a lot with this map.
Yeah, they responded to their kind of the big problem that was happening in that map one with the ults quite well. Not quite, but again, it might seem like maybe they're not investing as much as they need to. It could be, as although they are, like I say, getting that first pick, they're just not doing anything afterwards, which might be the case of them not just ulting to secure those fight wins.
I definitely think maybe having some speed in the support line might help them a little bit, especially with the D.Va.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think their plan is definitely just to get rid of Marlon, get rid of that issue, and then work on the rest later on.
Yeah, but I mean, again with this Zen on King's Row, he gets quite a lot of value, you know, on that third point with those long sightlines, but on this first and second, he's not quite as useful, as he can't really peek a whole lot, and the team kind of has to stay within his line of sight, which is kind of hard on these first couple points.
Yeah, both teams are just fighting on this high ground here. Redacted did fall quite low and is forced to come back a bit more into this team. Riot are looking to get some cheeky ticks here on the point. They have all jumped down, getting Redacted very low, and unfortunately does pick off Redacted here. However, Meow does get a pick onto Dango, with Mango also get a pick onto Bachums here. It is looking like maybe it's going to the side of Riot as they are coming on to the second pick. I don't think the tank can get back in time. However, Toxic just does get a pick onto Mango here. Are they going to touch here, as they have got 2 picks? With Lucio booping them back a little bit, Marlon does get the pick here onto Toxic, but is forced out as they fell really low there. Tracer is coming to help their tank, making the Zen fall half, but unfortunately isn't able to finish it off at all. Marlon is kind of just stuck in this little room here on this D.Va. He might be trying to get out, but he does jump onto the high ground into the Mei and the D.Va. But Bonket does get a pick here onto Ghost Town. This is probably where they're going to try and engage here. We do see the Pulse come out, unfortunately catching no one. And we have got the Baffle coming out from the side of Artemis. Unfortunately, they're not really using it here. They're just trying to stop the people on high ground. However, Marlon falls out of his mech, but does use ult here. And it's looking like it is going to fall again to Riot, as I did say it last time. But, I mean, they did pull it back a little bit. But no, yeah, Riot just get the point here with 4 minutes on the clock.
That was just a really, really long, drawn-out fight there, lasting just the entire time. There was no team that necessarily definitively won that fight until the end there, where Riot managed to take it. Because Marlon didn't quite fall out there, still was in a position to just touch the point, put that pressure on. No one really kind of took the fight overall. Both teams kind of playing that pretty well, though, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Artemis were kind of just holding that high ground, just making sure that they can keep control of it, and I feel like they've done that really well. It's just unfortunate that Riot just managed in the end just to get them 2 picks that just gave them the advantage.
Yeah, well, Mango's been doing a really good job this entire map, just getting that pick early as well, clutching up a little bit, getting 1-2 picks each fight, just securing the fight wins here for Riot.
Yeah, and from the side of Artemis, do you know who I think has been a really, really strong here? It's been Meow on that BAP. I really enjoyed Meow on that BAP. I feel like it's been getting them picks that have been necessary, and also Toxic on the Surge. I think we can give a shout out to every single player in this game right now, as all of them are doing what they need to do.
Yeah, I think this is just a really good overall game. Marlon, though, almost eating that Blizzard there, just short. If anyone did manage to see that.
Yeah, but we are seeing a Zen coming out here quite early, so Redacted and Beatums do get a pick onto Mango, Dango, and Snappish. Marlon is forced out here. See, as we've seen from Riot on defense, I think Artemis are doing quite a good job at doing the same thing, as when Riot get a bit of momentum, they just completely shut them down here with only 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. Riot are going to have to act fast here. They do have 4 ults pretty much here to use, but unfortunately Meow does get an early pick onto Mango here, forcing this D.Va to dive in here. But we are seeing Snappish use that immortality, with Beatums getting a pick onto Dango, forcing them into that little room, and they do clear up the ult here from the side of Artemis. That's exactly what they need though, like to get these picks and win these fights without using any ults. It just really gives them the advantage.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did see for that fight there, Riot changed over to that Brig, which, in my opinion, was a bad decision overall, because this Artemis team, they've got that Zen, they don't have the speed, they've got the Mei, they want their team to kind of play a little bit slower, they want to get that damage in there early, play really pokey and just not let Riot push in. And they kind of helped them there. Riot helped them by playing that Brig, not having that Lucio speed to just engage early.
Oh, but we are seeing an early Mail come out here, getting Mango with also the Baffle, which is huge to the side of Artemis, as that Baffle isn't really going to be able to do anything forward. And however, Dango does get a pick onto Ghost Town, kind of evening the playing field just a little bit. With Mango also getting a pick, so with Marlon also getting a pick onto Toxic. And unfortunately, it is looking like Riot are going to take this fight. The Redacted is just going to have to come back a little bit here to his team. but it's getting caught out by this Tracer. Unfortunately, I think Riot, Redacted might stagger himself just a little bit here.
He does have that bomb though in case he wants to use it. He does use it. Able to remake as well. That was huge for Riot. They managing to force that Diva bomb out there in just a forcing him not to stagger himself. So he doesn't have that for this fight if he falls low.
But we are seeing an early Kirio come out here. Beaton just get a pick onto Snappish with Bonka getting a pick onto Ghost Town. We do see this Mango used in High Noon just make Toxic very low, and Marlon does manage to get a pick onto Toxic. But Beaton just then get a pick onto Mango. We do have this Debro from Marlon. I'm assuming they might just use it as a remake here, with Beaton also getting a pick onto Dango. And we are seeing this remake come back here. Unfortunately, they're not pushing the point here. As soon as I say that, they just jump onto the point. Toxic is going to come back now. Hopefully, just maybe get these initial picks. However, the Artemis haven't got any tank here, and we do see the Xeno coming out, not able to pick up Toxic here and keep him alive. And
yeah,
it's looking
quite unfortunate.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for the side of Artemis. It would have been huge had they been able to just get there just a second earlier. But it is currently now 2-0 to Riot. What do we think about that game?
Yeah, well, I think that from the first round, I think that map was definitely going to go into Riot's favor. They managed to hold them there. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they did manage to hold Artemis on that second point forever, it seemed. But Artemis, I thought Artemis could have taken that map there quite easily.
100%.
That last fight, Marlon just seemed to be invincible. He just didn't die, and he just stalled them out long enough for his team to get back and just win that fight in the end.
Yeah, it was a great performance from both teams, but as we do every single mid-game, we will be going to a little break here. So please stay tuned, as it is 2-0 to Riot currently. Hello, Kaizen, and welcome back. It is currently 2-0 to Riot right now. We do have a side swap. Riot is on the right, and Artemis is on the left. What do we think so far, Bob?
Well, I think this has been a really good game so far. I don't necessarily think either team's been taking it completely in one direction. We were talking about this a little bit in the break about how Riot were the number one seed overall in the before the playoffs started. And Artemis on the NA side, they were kind of the bottom seed, and it's really nice to see them putting up a big fight against this team.
Yeah, it just shows the effort that people have been putting in between, like, playoffs and then also the start of the season. As you said, at the start of the season, that Artemis was lowest seed, and now they're putting up a really good fight against one of the highest seed teams as well.
Yeah,
Bob,
well,
we do have some bans.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've seen this one yet in the tournament. I could be lying, but we've got a Lifeweaver ban coming out here on circuit for Riot, as well as Widowmaker, which, well, that one is a bit more of a no-brainer on circuit.
Yeah, 100%.
And on the side of Artemis, we got the Orisa ban. Marlon was just putting in work there, and the Tracer. They're really just, Artemis are really just kind of out here target banning what they think the problems were on each map.
Which I definitely think is a smart thing to do, as if something you're finding is an issue, then what do you do to fix that, you know? Just get rid of the issue entirely. But we are seeing the Sim TP onto the high ground with the Lucio and the Soj here, with Marlon backing them off here a little bit. However, the Soj does fall quite low, and it does fall to Ghost Town here. And Meow also getting a pick onto Dango. This is huge picks for Artemis. However, their tank is falling very low. Redacted is in dire need of some healing here, which does look like they are getting the healing here. Redacted is jumping back onto the high ground to fight the Sim and this Kiri again, with Ghost Town as backup here. But however, Ghost Town is forced out by Marlon here. Both teams are now just trying to get that picks now. However, Redacted does fall out of mech and falls very low, with Bunker getting that final pick onto Redacted, which is giving them some more cart progress, as without a tank, you don't really have a lot you can do here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really like that TP there from Riot onto that high ground. It didn't quite work, though, as they managed to lose, I believe it was Mango early, which was quite unfortunate, but they did just clean up in the end there, which was a really good fight from there. They lost two, but they managed to kind of all stay alive and take that next fight early on.
Yeah, with Marlon also getting a very early pick onto Ghost Town here, with Redacted also falling very low and out of mech again.
Redacted, yeah, they just can't seem to find a way to stay in mech.
Yeah, I think with this sim, it's going to be very hard to play D.Va into this sim, as when you're trying to push in, it's with the heavy beam from sim, it's very hard. But Bonker does get another pick onto Meow here. We've seen this sim do quite a lot here for the side of Riot, as just that heavy beam and also Sim's secondary fire is so strong.
Yeah, well, Riot just completely taking over this map now. The past couple maps we've seen Artemis putting up a bit of a fight, but right now they're going to have to do a whole lot of work to stop Riot in the state they're in now.
I mean, we've seen Artemis do it before. Riot had the momentum and just took it back. However, with this sim, it's very good that they swapped to the Zarya here, as the D.Va weren't going to work into that sim. We are seeing a very early Kirio come out here, which is forcing Riot just to push back just a little bit. And we are seeing Simwall as well, just trying to even the playing field just a little bit all for all, with a huge dynamite coming out from the Ash, with the Bob to follow up here. With then also Lucio ult just to give them the edge here, and they are going to push it in very deep here, with Marlon and Bonker getting a pick onto Redacted and Toxic here, and Dangle cleaning up the rest of the team. But Ghost Town is going out without a fight, with getting a pick onto Marlon and on Mango and Bonker, but unfortunately just as well. Quite a few ults were used there from both teams. It seems that Riot invested quite a lot of ults.
Yeah, well, Riot, they did have to use, I believe, 3 ults early and a little bit later in reaction, but they did manage to win the fight in the end, which was great. But this Juno ult comes out early, but gets 0 value as Riot perfectly kites out of the way there.
Yeah, it was a smart idea, and with their counter attack, we are using this Kiri ult here, but just to shut them down. Ghost Town does use Venture ult with Marlon coming out of mech, but using his bomb and does get a pick here onto Ghost Town. Forcing their team to push back with Redacted also falling really low here with Marlon getting a pick then onto Redacted. Meow is unfortunately caught out of position with Knight also falling to Dango here.
Yeah, well, that bomb there was quite unfortunate timing for Ghost Town, as he did kind of seem like he was a little bit of a deer in headlights as he burrowed out of the ground straight into the line of sight of a D.Va bomb. But Riot again just played that really well, kiting out the way and coming in fast and strong with that Kiri ult, which was a really strong play from Riot.
Yeah, and Riot seems to be abusing this high ground here, just trying to catch him out early. As normally you would take the high ground yourself on defense. However, Riot are just here first, ready to take over. With Ghost Town trying to push the tank a bit more in, but Bonka does get an early pick onto Meow here, forcing Artemis to only have one support here, which is just Knight on this Kiri, but it's very low here. With Mango will then get a pick onto Toxic and Marlon, finishing off the kill onto this Kiri. Again, they're just playing this so early for Riot, as it's making it very hard for Artemis to really do anything here.
Yeah, well, Riot really kind of showing their true colours a little bit now, proving why they maybe believe they don't quite deserve to be in this losers bracket. Unfortunately, they did end up here the other week from Impact, as now they're just kind of cleaning up completely. But as I say that, they have kind of been forced out losing their fight there. Bit of a Castus curse going on.
Yeah, Castus curse is real, guys. With Marlon did fall quite low there, however, it does kite back to his supports. We do see Redacted trying to get on this high ground, but we are seeing this Kiri TP ult taking him to the other high ground, taking out Knight on this Kiri, with Meow also falling quite low, with Snappers getting the pick, then onto Meow with a huge grab from Redacted. Unfortunately, just not being able to capitalize on it. But Marlon does fall out of mech here, using their ult just to remech, and getting the pick onto Redacted. Are they going to be able to get a touch here, as it's very, very close? We are seeing this Tyrio come out just to speed up here, but we do see in retaliation this Lucio ult coming out, and unfortunately they do full cap here for Riot with 2 minutes on the clock. Quite a nice time for Riot, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, well, you know, they kind of started off really slow there, Artemis, but we did see them clawing back a little bit towards the end of this third point, you know, but they weren't quite able to break through and hold them there for much longer. I did like that grab though from Redacted there at the end. Did seem like half of Riot ended up falling really low, but not quite able to capitalize. BBC Dango not even needing to use the beat on that grab as well, which is really unfortunate for the side of Artemis, not forcing out any ults really from that grab.
Yeah, and also unfortunately I think the rest of the team was kind of just dead, so we weren't really able to get a massive follow-up on that huge grab from Redacted. But we are looking at they're going to do the D.Va mirror again, but we're not seeing the sim, so it might work out just a little bit better for them this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the theme, I think, a little bit for Circuit is you either tend to get completely stopped on this first corner here on first point, or you tend to kind of steamroll a little bit all the way up until third. So we'll see if maybe that's just what happened there, and we'll see if Artemis can mirror exactly what Riot did.
Yeah, 100%. I think both teams coming out on this D.Va comp. Well, no, sorry, Redacted switching over to the Ram here. I think Redacted is trying to play a bit more into what they're more comfortable on. As we've seen, he's done quite a lot on this Ram before, so maybe just trying to do it as a last-minute effort to try and push it this full point. With Marlon just trying to get some post damage, does get the finger onto the pylon. However, falling very low. However, the supports are right on it, healing him straight away. Cart progress for the side of Artemis is very crucial here, as with 2 minutes on the clock from Riot, they need to do it and win fast, really, just to have a good chance here. Toxic does get a pick though onto Mango here, with Redacted also getting a pick onto Dango, forcing the team just to push back a little bit, as it's it's now a 4 versus 3 with Bonka getting a pick onto Ghost Town, but Toxic does get that retaliation pick onto Bonka, with Marlon finishing off with Toxic again. However, Marlon's falling very low, forced to come back to his team here. the Kiri does use the TP to get out a little bit, but Redacted falls very low, using his form just to get some health back and give his support time to heal him. Both teams are just kind of just holding the corner a little bit, just trying to get some poke damage happening, just to get some ult charge as well. Marlon just pushing a little bit, forcing Redacted very low, with Bonk getting a pick onto the Redacted, forcing the team just to push back a little bit here.
Yeah, well,
However,
Riot just cleaning up now. Artemis, it did kind of seem like they were getting into a little bit of a rhythm, winning that first fight, getting really close to capping that there, but they just weren't quite able to break through in the end. As they did lose Redacted really early there, which was quite unfortunate for Artemis. We'll see if they can kind of break through again here, but this is notoriously, in my opinion, quite hard to break through, especially with that strong high ground on the start of that second point. But Kitsune comes out early from Riot along with Blizzard,
which just get a pick onto Redacted and Meow here, forcing Artemis again to push back a little bit. Ghost Town did get that early pick, which gave him a good chance to push here. Unfortunately, Riot just had the ults to combat their team. We've seen these huge walls from Bonker blocking off Redacted from their team.
Yeah, well, you know, Artemis. I've been saying Redacted a little bit too much in here. Got in a bit of a rhythm there. But Artemis, they did seem to kind of, maybe we thought they might have that really strong push on attack like we were saying earlier, but they're now just kind of getting held a little bit longer than they would have liked on this the end of this point. Dual soldier ults going out there.
Mango is falling very low though, with Ghost Town also falling low, with Mango getting a pick onto the Ghost Town. With Redacted then using his ult with a combination of the battle as well, forcing them back. We do see this Lucio ult come out and this sight from Toxic. We've just get a bit more of an ult cluster here, just as the last attempt for Artemis to get this point here, which I do think they're going to get, considering that the rest of the team has only really got Lucio here, and Lucio does fall to Night Knight here, getting 2 picks as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of ults used in that fight. I think there was 6 or 7 ults used in that fight, but both teams don't really have an ult here now. So although everyone used everything in that fight and Riot came out on top, this fight is going to be a bit more of just a dry fight. But as I was saying, that BBC Dango does manage to kind of pick on Toxic early,
which means that Riot is just going to hard push into this team here, with Redacted falling a little bit low, but we are seeing this D.Va get a pick onto Meow, with Snappers then getting a pick onto Redacted, and it is looking like Riot is just going to clear up here. They might try and get a bit of stagger here onto the Soldier and the Bat, which they do indeed get that huge stagger, forcing him back into the spawn doors.
Yeah, well, Toxic dying twice in that fight there. Once right at the start and right at the end, which is quite unfortunate. Bit of a nice stagger there, as you were saying. But although I was on about both teams not really having any ults, Riot kind of won that fight so early that it gave them time to get to those ults that they were close to, but Artemis not really had any chance to build any of these ults. They're still only 50-60% into their first ult.
Yeah,
Riot's going to have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, we do see this Mayout come out very early, getting a pick onto Redacted, then also Dango getting a pick onto Night Knight. Unfortunately, again, I think Riot winning that fight with only using 2 ults here is huge for them.
Yeah, well, we've had a bit of a relapse here for Artemis, with dumping all these ults and not really getting any kind of ult economy straight back, whereas Riot always having 1 or 2 ults usually in these fights.
Yeah, I think just proving why they're top seed though, it's just like showing like why they've got them, what they do to do that. As you said, their ult economy and ult usage is so good, but we are seeing an early Kyrio come out from Riot, just engaging super quick, catching the other team off guard a little bit. However, Marlon falls very low, but unfortunately Dango does get a pick onto Meow here, again forcing Artemis back into the spawn. However, Toxic gets an early pick onto Mango. Once the rest of the team gets back, they could probably engage quite early here. They do have 3 ults coming up to 4. They're going to have to use some soon just to get this point here.
Yeah, well, we hope they don't have to, but it might be a case where they just have to dump all their ults into this fight again just to cap second, which isn't really going to be great, but if they have to do it, they have to do it.
Yeah, I think it's ult dumping. I don't really mind as long as it's gonna give you benefits here. We did see that Marlon almost just got the eat there onto the Mayo. However, unfortunately, they do get the picks here for Ghost Town and Toxic, get a pick onto Snappish and Mango, and then finally about to get the pick onto this Diva here. However, they are just contesting for the life of them. 2 seconds on the clock, and it is into overtime right now with ult-wise looking quite even for both teams. Both teams have got 3 ults here. With,
Yeah, well, we were
Redacted
saying that
coming quite ult.
they might have to ult dump here, but they only actually used one ult there to win that fight, which is really good for this side of Artemis.
And we are seeing the ult cluster come out right now. But Marlon getting eat onto Meow's ult here, with Toxic then getting 2 picks onto not on Ghost Town, on Dango and Snappish. With Redacted then getting a pick onto Mango. It is literally Redacted versus this Diva and this thing, but unfortunately it's currently 3-0 to Riot, which means Riot does win, and unfortunately Artemis is out of the competition.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there from Artemis. Both, Riot came in there with about a meter left, if that, on the point, and they did manage to just win the ult dump. Both teams just used every single ult they had in their arsenal, but again, when that happens, it does kind of go down to who is the better team, and it has shown that Riot, this entire game, was the better team.
Yeah, but that's not to say, obviously, that Artemis did put up such a good fight here. As we mentioned earlier, considering the seedings for both teams, it's very good to see how close each game was. As much as it was a 3-0, it was a very close 3-0 for both teams. As for MVP-wise, from Riot, are we thinking the same thing here?
I believe so. I don't think there's any really other option other than
Yeah. Marlon
Marlon.
here, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Marlon was just an absolute dominance on that Diva, especially. Completely in their face, but also peeling for their team as well. Some huge performances from Marlon. As for the side of Artemis, I was leaning towards Meow and Toxic here. However, after this game, I think Toxic put a great performance in that game.
Yeah, I believe that. Again, I was saying that, Meow, Toxic could have gone either way, but I think Toxic did just pull away in that last map there.
100%, especially on that Soldier. I really enjoyed that Soldier.
Yeah, it's not really a pick that you see a whole lot of, because you just get so much more value out of heroes like Soldier On and Cassidy. That Soldier doesn't really seem to get played a whole lot, but he did manage to make the best of it there.
Yeah, so I think we've got it. So for the side of Artemis, we've got Toxic, and then for the side of Riot, we have got Marlon. We do have some interview though, guys. So we will be going for a little break just to get all the interviews a bit sorted here. So stay tuned to see what both teams think of how they played and stuff like that. Hello, Kaizen, and welcome back to this. We are currently doing interviews. We do have from Odyssey, Redacted and Toxic. Welcome, guys.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate loss for you guys today. However, we do feel like you guys put up such a good fight, which leads me to my first question. I think for you, Redacted, what do you guys think you've done well today?
We definitely did a good job. Our plan going into this was to outpace the other team. I think we did a pretty good job of that. Um, there were some areas where we were lacking, like we kind of just let Marlon go free in the back line, but I definitely do think that we did a really good job outpacing Riot and kind of getting
Yeah.
around, out rotating them.
Especially on that Malga comp as well. We did see that come out in the first game, which we definitely feel like you guys done really well at using that Malga comp, especially mirroring it to the Malga player, Marlon. So I think that you guys done that really well, which I think leads to the second question that Bob has here for Toxic, I think.
Yeah, so obviously, well, you guys came in here as a bit more of the underdogs, and obviously it didn't go the way that you were expecting it to go. Is there anything that you kind of thought that you could have done to change that now looking back? If you said, oh, maybe, oh, if we change this here thing here, this game could have gone completely differently, or did you think that you played it the best you could play?
We definitely did play the best that we can play. I think if we could have worked on our backline, just helping them, being able to help them support or being able to push, just and just working the back line, I guess. Just helping, just supporting each other. We have I think, one of the best back line. Just, I guess we need to work on it, and we had Marlon on our butts the entire time. Um, I, I think we did the best that we could.
Yeah, so you just kind of wanted to maybe play a little bit more to allow your backline to do more throughout the game instead of just having to deal with a diva on them or an Orisa on them the entire time.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I believe
and then
Finney's got something coming up now. Yeah.
I absolutely do. So Redacted. Obviously, you know, as you mentioned earlier, you wanted to try and outpace Riot. So my other question for you is like, did you have any other strategies coming into this? Like that's just that. Like maybe like did you want to single out a certain person? Maybe with your bands, do you have any strategy behind that?
Bans wise, we were definitely gonna try and ban Orisa, Tracer, Venture as much as we could. Because I do think that they kind of run through that Tracer pace, that they run through that Tracer speed. So we tried to ban it as often as we could. That was my strategy going into it, bans wise. Like gameplay wise, I think we wanted to definitely play around the Lucio speed. We definitely wanted to play around that Diva, that Malga speed, and basically just kind of running through Marlon and trying to get on to their backline, which I do think that we did a really good job at. It's just the other end of it. They had the Tracer and the tank in our backline and had zero peel in order to get that. But I do think that we did a very, very good job trying to rotate around it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think you'll probably hear us in the stream a few times to say like, considering you know Odyssey came into playoffs the lowest seed for NA, and going against the top seed for EU, you guys put up such an amazing fight, and it's really good to see like the improvement you guys have put in.
I'm sorry. Can you? Did you ask me a question?
No, I was just saying, like, coming into this playoffs, you guys came in at the lowest seed for NA, and you were going against the top seed for EU, and I was saying, like, oh, you guys really looked like you've worked together and tried really hard.
Yeah, definitely was probably our toughest matchup of the season for sure. This is definitely our hardest game. I don't. Yeah, I think this was probably one of our hardest games to play against. I mean, Ruby Revs was definitely difficult whenever we played them, but I do think that
Yeah.
this game ended up being harder. It's like lower seed in NA, um, versus like top seed in EU was definitely like the big underdog matchup. But I do think that given the matchup, I do think that we played extremely well for
Yeah, I
it
completely
being
agree.
what it was.
Which I do think now for the final question for Odyssey, Bob would take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so obviously piggybacking off that a little bit, you guys were the underdogs, the lower seed. Did you come into this game specifically prepped for this Riot in this past couple of weeks scrimming, or did you come in go in scrims just as normal, just doing it, trying to improve on what you're doing, or do you trying to kind of play comps around what you believe Riot were going to come into?
So we did have a plan. We literally last night we were just talking about comps that Riot would run and just playing around it, or like Redacted saying outpace it. Um, it just like as a DPS, it was rough trying to outpace something that was outpacing us, but it was definitely I definitely learned a lot from Riot and what we could work on as a team, group, and just being able to work on those and use those as our more upbeat, I guess. Just keep ourselves with that mental headspace that we could do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, although you guys were coming into this game, maybe not expected to win from by everyone else's eyes, I believe you guys played really well. There was loads of those maps where I didn't necessarily think it was going to go either way. It was a real 50-50, but obviously Riot won in the end, which is unlucky for you guys now that you're out. Have you got any? I'm going to add a little bit of an extra question that you could just answer slightly. Have you guys got plans for next season, or are you kind of going to see where it goes?
1000%. We've got a couple of trial scrims coming up. We're losing a couple of players, but obviously we're going to be able to bounce back. And I believe we're going to take this offseason, scrim a whole lot, and come in ready to play our best for next season. We're more than ready.
Yeah, well, carry on. Sorry, I just interrupted you.
Yeah. I mean, for the whole org, really, we're introducing a couple of new teams. We're coming in. I think that next season we're going to be coming in hot, and that we're going to be a team that is going to be looked at significantly more positively than we did throughout all of this seasons. We have had some internal drama. We've had some stuff that hasn't gone our way, and I'm genuinely proud of how everyone has dealt with it, how everyone has gone through the trials and tribulations and gotten to where we are. Yeah, I'm genuinely proud of each and every one of my players, and for for the players that we are letting go or are leaving, I genuinely do. I wish them the best, and hope nothing but good things for them. I'm genuinely proud of where we are.
Yeah, some very great words from the manager of Odyssey. Thank you guys so much for coming. Just before we let you go, though, we do want to congratulate Toxic here for MVP. Me and Bob both agreed that we thought you were really good throughout all games today.
Thank you.
This bro got MVP on his birthday. That is
Hey,
Oh.
happy
that's awesome.
birthday!
Happy birthday, everyone.
Yeah, let's go happy birthday in chat for Toxic here. Thank you guys again for coming. We will be moving over to Riot here in just 2 seconds.
But yeah, we're not going to take up any more of your time. And we're going to introduce our MVP from Riot, back again from last week, Marlon.
Hello,
Hello.
Marlon.
Hello.
So, leading to my first question for you, Marlon, similar to what I was
Yeah.
asking Redacted in Toxic, what do you feel like you guys done really well today?
Really well. Well, I don't know. We just played our games, I guess. Like what we scrim. Just played what we scrimmed. What we are used to.
Yeah, so you come in very practiced, very rehearsed. You guys knew what you was doing.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah,
Just the
that's
bands really fucked
amazing.
us up.
Yeah, I feel like with Riot, I think a lot of people know what you guys play and what you play really, really well. So it's quite hard when you come into every game. Like everyone kind of knows, like, okay, we want to ban this one, we want to ban this.
Yeah.
Which I think then leads on to Bob's question then for you.
Yeah, well, obviously, the other losers bracket game hasn't quite been played yet. Sunset versus Team Rocket. Is there either of those teams that you're hoping to play in this next round?
It doesn't really matter. Like we just played the better of them and we just gotta beat the better one. So
So you're
doesn't
not
really matter
necessarily
who we play.
hoping for one or the other to come through. You just whoever comes through doesn't make any
No, no.
difference to you.
Yeah, just the better team should come. Then we play the better
Nice.
team. It's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Was there any like specific strategies that you had coming into this? Did you know anything about Artemis beforehand?
I mean, not really strategies we came up with. We just focused on our strengths, but we did watch the codes, so we kind of had a rough idea what they were playing. That they liked to play in the RAM and stuff.
Did you target any bans around that, or do you guys want to more ban what helped you guys
Uh,
better?
we don't really ban around what enemy teams plays. We just try to run like we try to find a middle part. Like we banned Ram and Sim on King's Row as an example because we know they played it, but also because we don't want to play into that because it would fuck over
Yeah,
our comp.
100%.
And
It's
mainly
glad
the
that
top
you guys.
bans and our comps.
It's good that you guys are taking that into account, like trying to see what you guys want to play into better than just target banning. Which I think Bob's going to finish off this interview for you with his final question for you.
Yeah, well, is there anything that as a team, obviously you guys came out on top. Is there anything that you guys think you specifically did really well, or do you just kind of think everything, or anything that you think that you guys did poorly, or did you just think overall it was great from your team?
I play my comps were really bad this game. Like I had 5 plan for our team, and I really fucked it up. That's why
Okay.
Busan was so close on the second round, especially second round on the Maga comp, because they had like old tracking and everything is really important, and I just made this really bad.
Yeah, is there anything else that you necessarily think as a team overall, or do you think the rest of it was just kind of by the book
I think the team
as
played well.
you should have played?
This was pretty well. Nothing too crazy, but I think we did our job, playing our game, did it
Yeah,
decent.
and do your job. You definitely did. Moving forward, is there anything you want to like try and do? Like, what's next for Riot? You know, you're gonna climb the way out the losers bracket.
In this tournament, we tried to beat everyone. So just go from one game to the next and just beat everyone. That's what we're looking forward to.
That's the final goal. I mean, I definitely think it's doable, especially for Riot. I mean, he's a very strong team. Always got really good comps and work really well together. But I think that's all the questions we have for you today, Marlon. Unless Bob has anything else to follow up on.
No, nothing else. But we wish you the best of luck in your next game, and we hope to see you make it through. And I know I can imagine you're kind of excited to maybe play Impact in the finals if you both make it there,
Hopefully.
as they did beat you and they sent you down here. You want to kind of get your revenge a little bit, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just like last season. Getting pushed on into losers bracket by Impact and then meeting in grand finals, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping for the outcome to be a little bit different, but but yeah, no, thank you so much, Marlon. We appreciate you being here and continue doing what you've been doing. But that wraps it for our interview. Again, thank you for coming.
Don't worry. Thank you for hosting.
worries. All right, Kaizen, that is the end. It was 3-0 to Riot. Great performance from both teams. I have been Finney. This has been Bob.
See you guys.
And we've had Walker on the camera. Please stay tuned for future casts that happen. Follow us on all our socials, and we'll see you again.